Welcome, 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 everybody. My name is April. As you all know, and my spirits and I together, we are called Austrae Astoundeds. Welcome to the Conspiracies podcast. This is the part two for the 2025 predictions. Moving forward into 2026, 2027. Sometimes a lot of this stuff is moving into those energies of the following years, but I will just say the predictions for 2025. Now, from where I left off from part one, for those who've been following and listening, thank you very much. I was getting into the subjects of talking about these transits that were quite interesting. We had the Pluto and Aquarius transit that happened in November of 2024. And the last time this transit was happening was, like I was saying earlier, 1771 to 1798. That's when the French Revolution was. We had the American Civil War. Last time that transit, that Neptune moved into Aries, was in 1861 to 1875. So a lot of these like conflicts and stuff that have been happening in the United States are going to be popping up this year. And most importantly, we have Uranus moving into Gemini. And the last time that transit happened was when there was World War II, 1941 to 1949. And that's going to be happening in 2025, July 7th, when Uranus moves into Gemini. So this is going to be a very interesting and profound time. So I've been talking a little bit about this to clients and just people that choose to listen, that, that particular transit's going to be we're going to see massive change around that time. So, just collectively, just overall, environment wise, globally, you name it. Okay. So, it's a really profound year. As I was telling many of you guys, all the planets except for Pluto will be either going into new signs or have a major transit. So, this is huge for us. But what I really want to get into is the importance of these eclipses that are happening. We have a lot of stuff going on in March. March is going to be a very big month for astrology, but we have an eclipse during the month of March. So I feel like we're going to see a lot of stuff gearing up and happening around that time. A lot of changes, and we have to watch out for like sickness, like globally, like health issues, things like that. Weird stuff popping off around that time. Um, I know the eclipse is happening March 14th of 2025. And so I just feel like these eclipses could really shine the light on big major issues, especially for the United States. Let's see here. Of course, as you all know, Neptune is moving into Aries. That's huge. That's all about the radical ideologies, like a lot of stuff that was happening that mirrors the American Civil War. So there's going to be a lot of people there's just all this uptight energy. A lot of shifts here from water to fire, a little bit of air, but, and then fire to water. It's like, oof. And then with everything moving into new signs, this is going to be the most profound, I think, year that's really good of the century. Like, this is just going to be huge for us. One of the things that my spirits were talking about per prediction, as I move away from the astrology a little bit going forward, is they were talking a lot about AI and how we are going to have some trouble gaining some restrictions and regulations around this, or at least there's been some weakening of this. But now that we have a new administration moving in, I do see the Trump administration trying to tighten up these areas with AI and the problems that come with it. You know what I mean? Pluto that moved into Aquarius. Pluto's the darker side. Aquarius is all about, you know, um, technology and these advancements that's sometimes wonderful, but also things are moving so fast that it could actually work against us. What is that movie? You might remember this. What's that movie? Is it Terminator, where AI takes over, like all the
No,
robots take over?
Terminator. Yeah, that's the correct movie. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Because what I was seeing and what Spirit was showing me was I see that we're going to have a lot of vulnerability here, and it will be happening of cyber attacks. This is going to be huge. They're going to start, messing with our banking systems, our power grids, our hospitals, this increased um vulnerability for these problems. And I feel like the Trump administration is going to start seeing a lot of this stuff popping up, and they're going to try to hone in on these issues and try to control it, but it's moving so very fast. I do see in the next 2 years too some job losses because AI is becoming so predominantly strong and taking over a lot of these jobs. So, like I was saying in the last the first episodes for predictions 2025 from Spirit, they were talking about the trades being a huge um big deal for a lot of people because we those jobs, we need them. We need our men that are making the roads. We need the men that are, you know, building things. We got our plumbers. We need all that. So the trades I feel like are going to be pretty huge, and especially people working in the ports and the channels where the shipments are coming in. When it comes to trade, there's big money in that as well. Um, this is just something Spirit's talking about, but I do know that Spirit would not talk about. I mean, well, Spirit would kept talking a lot about crypto. So I feel like crypto is going to just profoundly like make people rich in the next 5 years or so going forward. So people that are investing in crypto, I see people like as young as like I don't know, in their early 20s becoming millionaires because of this. So for those that are listening, look into crypto because I see a lot of luck coming through with crypto, but our humanity is a bit at risk um with this AI stuff, because what I was seeing was these scammers. Like we're gonna have a lot of like, of course it's already on the rise, but we have a lot of people scamming and taking advantage of um people and claiming that they're this company, or and then getting information. We have to watch out for our social security numbers and just things like that. I just see a breach of a confidential information constantly being leaked, constantly being like vulnerable just due to these AI scammers. Okay. Well, 2025, I'm recording it now in 2025. So I will say this year, as you all know, or some of you may know, it's a snake year in Chinese astrology. So this is a very transformative year, which makes sense with all the transits that are going on. How a lot of the transits are moving, or the planets are moving into different signs, except for Pluto. Um, and that means that we're going to see a lot of transformation around the American dollar. So get ready for a big surge of job losses. So is 2025 going to be a better year financially, economically? No. We still have some work to do, unfortunately. So I can't say that it will get any better than 2024 or the year before that. Um I feel like we have like a slow climb here financially, but I do see crypto on a lighter scale here doing very, very well, especially moving forward in the next 5 years, for sure. What bothers me about the AI the most, though, is what Spirit was showing me was like, I see people like getting robots coming in to do like, I don't know, like medical stuff, all the way down to surgeries and stuff. And then when it gets really weird, it's like I see the brain chips and these like excuse me guys, I'm recovering from a little bit of a cold. So but not only like the brain chips, but there's like some kind of chip that can be implanted in the body where they can track you to find you, but also to track you medically as well, so they know what's going on. And not everybody's going to be comfortable with that, but I see a lot of this art. I think it's already happening from what I feel and sense. It's already happening now. But Spirit was showing me like these robots like doing like live surgeries and stuff, like weird stuff. Like I was like, am I really seeing this? But I saw these robots in like in the operating room, just, but it's like, well, what are the risks of that? You
Well,
know?
I know Elon Musk is working on Neuralink right now, so he has had people implanted with microchips that help with like recovering conditions from having like spinal cord injuries, things like that.
Right.
It's supposed to help with that, but I'm not sure to what length he's gone and actually finished those things.
And that's, and it's interesting you're bringing this up because it's like when you really look at things, it's like how far would someone take it? And what are the risks, if you have somebody in the middle of surgery and the robot, is it running on solar panels? Like, what if the power goes out and you're in the middle of a surgery? I mean, you have to think about all that kind of stuff. It's like wild stuff like that that could go wrong. And is it detrimental to humanity? And I believe that is very yes, it can be, where completely taken over by robots, and they're taking all the jobs. And so what do you do with all these jobless people that can't make money and support themselves? And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. It's like, um we are going to continue seeing a lot of issues just on, with weather changes and stuff. And some of it is manipulated. You know what I mean? Um I can't say that the sheets are clean for certain groups out there. But yeah, they are manipulating um, certain, they're controlling the weather. You know what I mean? But not all of it is controlled, because there are going to be some problems. We got volcanic eruptions coming. I was talking about that in the part one 2025 predictions. We're going to see earthquakes coming, especially for the West Coast. I'm anticipating a rumble over there. Um, but these are the things that I am sensing and feeling that are on its way. I feel like a West Coast was already due for a big rumble. And I think for whatever reason, Spirit or big angels stopped it. And then it happened over in Japan. But I felt like what happened in Japan at the first of the year of 2024 was supposed to happen to the West Coast. And it didn't happen. Because I keep dreaming about it. I kept seeing the water come in, and I could feel the shake and the earthquake and stuff. And I knew something was coming, but it was like something or someone intervened, someone, up there in heaven, they all got together and kind of, you know, stopped something, prevented something from happening. But I do believe the West Coast is due for a little bit of a shake. Okay. Um, Here's what bothers me a lot. I was looking at the new administration, as I was talking about before in part one, is I am concerned that, of course, we got Donald Trump coming in for the United States. The inauguration and a possible assassination attempt was very much something I was talking about that I think is possible, but I don't think that they will succeed. I do not get that feeling. Now, one of the things that have been, excuse me, one of the things that have been already kind of opening up, because I was talking about, let me take a look at my notes here. Because I've been under the weather, as you can all hear, I was gonna do this prediction and put this out sooner. I didn't get to it because I got hit with a really bad flu and cough. But I will say this: for January 1st to January 11th, January 11th is when the lunar nodes are switching. Okay, and this is a big deal. But for the first, January 1st, of course, we're past the first right now as I'm recording this, Mars opposes Pluto. And so there's a lot of control and oppression around that in individual breakthroughs. The truth tellers are on a roll right now. Tabloids, news, public outrage, standing up for themselves or any type of disrespect. We're going to see a change of faded, like a chain of like faded events, moments that are propelling fast forward. And when January 1st hit, I think it was, we saw all these terrorist attacks. When was the New Orleans thing that happened? What date was that? Was it the second?
That was on the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the
That's
first.
when Mars opposes Pluto. Now, like I said, I was supposed to put this out like sooner, but I got so sick, you guys. But um I'm just gonna cover it a little bit because we're already here, and I kind of knew that there would be something really like crazy would pop off around that time. And then that's when these terrorist attacks started happening. Then we had the terrorist attack, excuse me. Well, I mean, if you want to call it that, they're still trying to figure it out. At the, was it the Trump Hotel?
Yeah, it was the Trump Hotel in Vegas. That's where it happened. The Cybertruck bombing thing.
And there's something weird about that one, because when I was talking to my spirits about it the other day, I was like, what? Because I was, really trying to figure out what happened there. I felt like it was like a message. That's what spirit called it, a message. You're trying to send a message to somebody. The higher ups, Trump, obviously, maybe Elon Musk. I don't know, because that's Elon Musk's vehicle type of, stuff he's selling. And then we got obviously the Trump hotel. So that's a message. I felt it was like a message. But whoever was inside excuse me, the the vehicle or the car, there's something deceptive around that. So whether he was in there or he wasn't, or a body was sent in there or something, I do not feel like the person who's actually doing it is dead. I feel I'm getting something odd about the whole thing. So whatever they're claiming, whatever they're saying, whatever they're like, oh my God, it's this, I just want you guys to know that please understand there's something very deceptive about the evidence, meaning that perhaps who's behind it is free and running around somewhere, or is in another country. That's the feeling I'm getting. I want to do like a solid reading on it just to get down to the bottom of it, but I know that spirit kept saying there's deception around the identity of the person, meaning like he could still very
Well,
likely
there were
be
a lot of
alive.
people saying that he was using that as like a distraction to get out of there because he has information. He was talking about there was an issue between him and the government, and something happened where they killed a lot of civilians in Afghanistan. So he was supposedly trying to kind of out the government on something, and that's why he was actually running.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
it's
the reason behind it. They believe.
yeah. I just whatever, I mean, I we have enemies on the inside. You all realize that, right? Everyone's listening. We are anticipating these terrorist attacks and it will continue. I mean, everything for those that really pay attention to the astrocartography for the United States, we are in for some problems here, especially with what I was starting off by saying. We have the Pluto in Aquarius, we have Neptune in Aries, we have Uranus in Gemini. Um, we have some problems for sure. And it means the enemies are on the inside. For those that looked at the birthday and the astrocartography around um the United States' energy, um Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Aries on the icy point on the United States foundations. Uranus return of the US always coincides with war. It means it's the house of open enemies in the United States. Revolution, rebellion, breaking through boundaries. I mean, it's here, it's happening. So I'm anticipating this more, unfortunately. We have to be careful with government buildings, you know what I'm saying? Like the White House, Washington, D.C., you know, the big stuff like areas in New York. I mean, just think about these different types of government type buildings. We have to be keeping our eye out for these areas because it could be vulnerable for terrorist attacks, especially because of what I just said. You know what I mean? Saturn, Neptune conjunct in Aries on the icy point of the United States, those foundations. Uranus return to the US always coincides with open enemies and war and revolution. So we got a lot of grumpy people here and they don't like us. And then here's the thing, we have our own government, and because we have a new administration coming in, we have enemies in our own government, like hating each other, but we're part of the same team. So everything's kind of breaking away because certain people want to get away with certain things and they can't now because now we have a new person in charge. So then you can only imagine how we just will slowly start to see one by one people like, oh, they committed suicide or they disappeared, or it's like, come on, like weird stuff popping off like that. Um, it's just because there's this battle going on within the own government, within the own, we got agencies and stuff that are going to have to probably people that are going to have to leave. Now they can either leave or they can reveal what they already have, documents and papers. There's paperwork going to have to be covered up and moved around because we have a new administration coming in. So that's going to make some people nervous. So then people don't want anybody snitching if they've been having something, if they have something to hide. So this is a whole cleanup of the darker side of the government. And that's kind of dangerous because that's when we start seeing people, weird stuff coming up in the news of people disappearing, people passing away, people, just weird stuff happening. Okay. So this is going to be an interesting year, and it's going to be, we will never see anything, we won't see this in our lifetime again, you guys. What is going to happen at this year in 2025, it will never happen again. It's going to make history. And we have to be prepared for the overhaul and changes with all these planets moving into new signs, with every transit coming up here, lots of changes going on. It's like, what do we expect except massive change? So, um, I just felt it was interesting too, because I was talking a lot about how 2024 was a very scorpionic year. It means the dying and decaying away of what's no longer serving us, the reveal of secrets, very scorpionic, the number 8. It's also considered what Spirit calls the karmic loop. And then as we move into 2025, we're here now. That's a 9-year. And so the 9-year speaks about, it's very Sag, it's very like Sagittarius energy. It's about buttoning things up, to complete us, to complete something. So this is the year of cleanup. So breakthroughs and cleanup. Now, on a lighter note, um, for those that are looking for change in their lives, for outside of United States stuff, but just on a lighter note, we have to be willing this year to step outside our comfort zone. Some of us might be traveling for work. Some of us may have to venture outside our comfort zone in terms of where we live. Extending your radius is going to multiply your money. A higher education is going to multiply your money because it's a it's a Sagittarius energy base number 9. We have to venture out, which means taking risks and be willing to step outside of our radius to learn more things, to accumulate more knowledge. Is very Sagittarius. Like, okay, what if I do this? Well, I don't know. It might be a risk, but how would you know if you don't try it? You have to be willing to have some new experiences in life. You can't keep doing the same shit. So, the 2024 year was like the ending of a lot of relationships that were no longer serving us. Again, very scorpionic. The revealing of secrets in relationships. Again, very scorpionic. The secrets in our world, our government, everything. So some of that it's too heavy and we can't take it with us into our new year of 2025. So get ready for some adventures, higher learning, accumulating knowledge. I see a lot of teachers doing really well, coaches and teachers. I see a lot of people going back to school or taking some classes, accumulating more knowledge, a lot of training, adventure, travel. I feel like next year a lot of people are going to be meeting their soulmate, or understanding that in order to receive love and stability in their life, they're going to have to venture out. That their special person may not be where they are, and that's okay too. So, but that being said, the best part that I can see is I see huge breakthrough coming through for cures for diseases. I saw. You know what I mean? Like some really great stuff here. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I see that could very likely happen, where we're going to see um, breakthroughs and just finding cures for certain diseases that they would say, oh, this isn't curable. Like, you can't figure this out. This will never happen. And then it happens. Um, I worry about food shortages, you guys. I see the stopping of trades because other countries aren't getting along. Lots of fighting here. And we have to be careful of a possible pandemic, another pandemic. Pay attention to the eclipses this year. Pay attention to March and pay attention to September. The eclipses around these times. September's, there's some eclipses that are happening. Let's take a look here in my notes, my friends. Um, September 7th and September 21st. Okay. Now, September 21st, we have a partial solar eclipse. Okay. And it's coming in at 29 degrees. There's also a new moon that day. So this is going to be interesting. But the pandemic, I don't even want to call it that because I'm not quite sure if that's what I mean. Like with spirit, it's like spirit's almost like making me feel like there's going to be like an outbreak of something wonky. I'm getting a lot of energy around England, UK, stuff like this. Again, England, UK. There's going to be like a lot of heightened health crises there. The king of, what would you call it? Is it like king of, would he be the king of England, Charles?
Charles is the king of England now, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
His health does not look good.
Okay.
I think I talked about this before. I can't remember. I might have said it. I don't know. I just see a lot of drama over there at the UK, and I do see a lot of like them most especially see some like a huge surge of some kind of like epidemic. I don't even want to call it a pandemic. It's just like some kind of outbreak of something. And I feel like this could happen or something could pop up around these eclipse months. These eclipses. Pay attention to March, pay attention to September. Weird stuff pops up around eclipses, but I'm seeing like a weird surge of outbreaks. We have to watch our waterways again for those that are listening. Our waterways are vulnerable. The channels and the ports, battles and wars over water, disputes over water in the channelways, Panama Canal. I see a lot of problems coming up over there. People trying to gain control over this. The Suez Canal, big channels. But not only that, I see we have to really watch our fresh water, the waterways of that's coming into the cities. We could be vulnerable for contamination. So we have to watch out for which you guys that are listening have been for those that have been following me, I've been talking about this for a very long time. We're going to be seeing a lot of problems around our waterways. So the waterways, I feel like could be contaminated, or there could be like threats of like biohazard stuff. Like I even had a dream. You know what? I just told you, did I not? Like my co-host, didn't I not tell you I had a dream about this 2 days ago?
Yes, you did.
I had a dream. I have like premonition dreams all the time. And I had this dream that this he was from Africa. And he was like telling, I knew he was African because I can tell his accent was there and everything. And he was like telling me that there's some kind of outbreak in the water. And so they were accumulating water in this pool so they can keep it away from the water that was feeding into the house.
Yeah, that makes
Now,
sense.
why,
Huh.
but why he was African or what was, I'm like, is this like a message spirit? Like maybe something's going to come up or down there. I don't know. I just know that it was being shown to me that we have to be careful of outbreaks in the water or the water becoming contaminated. Now, some people will call it, it'll be in the news and tabloids like a terrorist attack, or they'll say this is war on our water. And that very likely could be true because we have, again, enemies in our country because of what's going on with all the Saturn Neptune conjunct in Aries on the IC point of the United States foundations. That means open house of enemies. So it's like I'm kind of anticipating this problem. So we all need to kind of keep an eye on our water and always have extra water anyway. Always have candles. Always have like, backup something for chargers and different things like that.
Well, it's not
We
hard to store a few extra cases of water or go get like 5 gallons bottles of water and just put them away somewhere in the house or in the garage. It's not hard to do that. They last a while. Even if you fill them up with like the water from the sink, they're still
right.
good for a while.
Right. We just have to really keep it. The water is going to be that has had me worried for years. I have felt that they would attack us somehow, or there would be threats of our water. So that means all the water is going through the cities and going through your fountains and, through the faucets and stuff. Like, we have to really watch it.
Well, even what happened in like North Carolina with the Hurricane Helene, people were struggling to get food and water there, even though they just had a flood. Clean water is really hard to come by in those situations. And those storms and simple things like that affect people so bad. And it's
Yeah.
not hard to like if store up on water. It's like one of
Right.
those things it's a necessity to need anyways.
It
But
is going to be like the new
yeah.
luxury. The fresh water. I know there are women out there that love their Louis Vuittons and their fancy purses and stuff, and that ain't gonna even matter. Because if you don't have water, you're in trouble. Fresh water is going to be the luxury. People are going to want the freshest water they can find because it's non-existent anymore. It's full of fluoride, it's full of problems, and then we got people coming here into our country that could potentially, or within enemies on the inside that could put threats to our water. So we have to really watch and have a lot of safety measures around this for sure. Including watching our ports and stuff because I see a halt on trade. And I can see that they could prevent certain foods from coming in, certain goods from coming in, certain trade from coming in, because one country is mad at the other country or something is going on. And this is going to cause some problems. So there's going to be this uprise or upheaval of wanting to take control over the trade areas and the ports, because if you have control and power over those ports, you have control over the trades and the money. So guess what? This is what we're going to see, a heightened, you know, just a lot of fussing over this, like, oh, wait, no, I'll do it, all these other countries fighting for that. So this is, going to be interesting, but it all has to happen so we can get on a better track. But I can't guarantee you guys this year is going to be the best year for money. This is about paying debts this year. This is about catching up this year. This is about learning new things this year. You know what I mean? But for those that are really looking to make some serious cash, I see a big surge of change with real estate market, um, where I see a lot of people dumping houses, a lot of people moving in and buying everything up. And I see a huge surge of energy around crypto. Like, the next 5 years is going to be unbelievable with crypto. We're going to see like 20-year-olds becoming millionaires. It's going to be a big deal, you guys. So, but the American dollar is going to be losing its value. It already kind of is. Um, and it's, we potentially could have a little bit of an economic crash. And I say potential. I'm not claiming that this is what's going to happen, but it's very possible. Okay. Is it going to happen this year? It could, but I feel like, they're not going to make this very easy for the new administration either. And a lot of this stuff's going to be thrown at this person to create stress and cause more issues, are going to make this very difficult, because I told you the deep state's after the new administration, especially Donald Trump. I do believe the Ukraine and Russia, I feel like we're going to be seeing a halt with this, like some kind of peace with this at some point, ceasefire, something like that. Um that's also on its way. But um that is pretty much what I got for those that have been listening. And I will be coming up with some more information, but I do feel like the them harnessing and really reeling in and trying to take control over AI is going to be a big thing with this new administration, as well as human trafficking, sex trafficking, and all the pedophilia stuff, the Epstein list. A lot of people are going to be going down. We're going to see a lot of celebrities leaving the country, but they're leaving the country and they'll claim it's one thing, but it's really another, because they have something to hide. So don't believe everything that you read in the news or that you're watching on certain news channels, just understand that they're going to say it's one thing, but then it's really not that. But the one thing that really stood out to me the most was a lot of junk going on in the UK too, besides all the stuff I've been talking about with the United States. Slowly but surely. Okay. But my best advice is we have to just always keep a close eye on our water. Water was a big concern because water, if the water's contaminated, then we can't water the plants. You can't water the plants, then the soil becomes contaminated. Soil contamination, fertilizer, things like that. So that could cause a famine, right? And especially if there's weather issues going on and problems going on like that, that could also create a lot of problems with food and access to fresh water, besides the potential threats we have from the inside with enemies and terrorists. Um, but anyway, this is what I got so far for 2025 predictions and going forward. Once again, my name is April. My spouse and I together, we are called Australia Astoundance. For those of you that are interested in booking a reading with me, come check me out on my website for my services that I offer at australiastoundance.net,